You can't call something a distraction unless you know what is distracting you from. And you also talk about the importance of knowing your values and planning ahead. Could you kind of share how that kind of prevents us from getting distracted?
Sure. So the second step to becoming indistractable is making time for traction. So after we've mastered the internal triggers and we just touched the tip of the iceberg, there's a lot more there. But the next step is to make time for traction. So we talked about how traction is any action that pulls you towards what you want to do, things that move you closer to your values and help you become the kind of person you would become. So the truth here is that the what I want people to remember is that you cannot call something a distraction unless you know what it distracted you from. Meaning, if you have a bunch of white space in your calendar, right? If it's just open, free time to do whatever you want, don't be surprised if everything is a distraction. Because what did you get distracted from exactly? If you've got nothing on your calendar, if you have no plans, everything is a distraction, right? So you have to plan your day or somebody's going to plan it for you. That whether it's the news media or social media or your boss or your kids, somebody has a vested interest to take your time from you. You know, there's a reason we call it spending time and paying attention. We use the same words, spending and paying, that we use to describe what we do with money, right? We spend our money just as we spend time. We pay attention just like we pay with dollars and cents. And we wouldn't just give anybody who wants it our money, right? We have to be judicious about what we spend our money on. But when it comes to our attention, sure, whatever. Take as much of it as you want. Whoever wants it, no problem. Some stupid thing on Twitter, okay. Some drama on TV, whatever. The news, this and that, okay, sure. And we just give it out to whoever wants it. Whereas an indistractable person realizes that you have to plan your day or somebody else is going to plan it for you. So how do you do that? The first step is to start with your values, is to understand that we have to turn our values into time. How do we do that? We ask ourselves, what are our values? What are values? How do you define them? Values are defined as attributes of the person you want to become. Let me say that again. Values are defined as attributes of the person you want to become. So we have to ask ourselves, how would the person I want to become spend their time? And I give people these three life domains that help us on this journey. So first, the most important life domain is the one at the center, you. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others. We have to make sure that we first and foremost make time to live out our values as they concern ourselves. So for example, how much time do you want on your calendar for proper rest, for exercise, for learning, right? For prayer, for meditation, whatever is important to you, even video games, right? Let's say it's part of your values to say, I want to spend time playing video games. Great. Put that time on your schedule, okay? Take care of you first and plan the time that you invest in living out your values. Second life domain is your relationships. Part of the reason we have this loneliness epidemic in this country is because we have a precipitous decline in the amount of time that people spend in organized activities, right? And this is not something that social media did. Social media was a reaction to this existing disease. This has been happening since the 1990s. There's a wonderful book called Bowling Alone, written by Robert Putnam. He talks about this, that, you know, civic organizations, the church club, the bowling league, the Kiwanis, these clubs that people used to have on their calendar, the younger generation doesn't do. And so we are terribly lonely because we don't see friends on a regular basis. So put that time in your schedule, especially now that so many of us are in quarantine. Get those Zoom meetings booked, right? With your family, with your friends, with your spouses, even with your kids. Make that time for the people who are important to you, the important relationships in your life. And then finally, the work domain, right? Which is where most of us spend our time. Work can be subdivided into two types of work. We have reactive work, and then we have reflective work. Reactive work is reacting to all of those pings and dings, right? The emails, the Slack notifications, the phone calls. Reactive work is how most people spend their day. The problem is that those people spend a lot of energy and a lot of time running real fast in the wrong direction because they have no time for reflective work. Reflective work is the planning, the concentrating, the thinking. And if you don't make time in your day to think, well, then how do you know you're doing the right stuff, right? You have to plan time to think in your day. If you want a huge competitive advantage over your everybody else in your workplace, make that time to think, because I bet you nobody else is doing it. Nobody else is making time to think, but you have to have that time, and you have to do that without interruption. And so make some amount of time, even if it's 20, 30, 45 minutes, have that time in your day for that reflective work as well.